Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to thank you guys for joining me on this very first podcast episode of the Closure TV podcast. And I appreciate y'all for hanging out, joining in with me. It's been a long time coming, and so I'm kind of excited, anxious at the same time to get this content out to you. We've got a very special guest lined up for today's call. Um, the thing is, I would appreciate it, man, if you guys go ahead and if not right now, at some point during the podcast episode, if you feel like you're getting some value out of it, um, tap that like button, hit the subscribe button, man, so we can continue to get this content out to everybody. People that's in need out there that really need to hear this content. Um, without further ado, though, I just want to introduce you guys to the guest tonight. His name is Schuyler Jenkins. Brother got a powerful story. He as an individual has impacted my life over the years, and I just want to get on record as having him as the very first guest on the podcast, the Closure TV podcast. Uh, Looking forward to it. It was pretty exciting, um, and just at the same time, as a word for the day, is just to keep in mind that we all have stuff we're going through and stuff that we're dealing with. Today ain't no different than any other day. But sometimes I feel like when you get to listen to the next person's story and their experience, it's kind of humbling. You know, it'll shut me down a lot of times just to see and realize that other people have stuff that they carry around with them and that they dealing with, um, and how they dealing with it. So, like I said, without further ado, first and foremost, I want to thank you for joining in with me. And then we're going to run the video, the podcast, right after this introduction.
We're blessed today to have our maiden voyage interview with a brother I know, Mr. Schuyler Jenkins. Just want you to go ahead, man, if you don't mind, introduce yourself to the people and let us know a little something.
Schuyler Jenkins, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Uh, you know, motivational speaker, quadriplegic father. Trying to get back into the fitness industry. But one of my main qualities, I would say, is a true definition of not having self-doubt.
All right. Yeah. You just said a mouthful right there, right? So, yeah, people that don't know, they don't know. But hopefully we can unravel a little bit more of that as we go. You did say something about having a passion for fitness, man. Where did that come from? How long you been into that?
I've been in that off and on most of my life, but I would say definitely I got a little more interested in it back in 2010 after I was diagnosed with quadriplegic. So, of course, being a personal trainer wasn't really my go-to dream job. But after, spending 7 months in the hospital, things kind of changed. So I got a little more curious about how the body works, how muscle and, muscle memory works, connecting with your muscle through the mind. So I just started doing a little studying and it kind of snowballed into something different. Did start personal training in 2017, kind of fell off just due to not really having that full passion, just because I was still working on myself, but I still never gave anyone less than because I was feeling inadequate. So fitness has been a really big journey of mine. I feel like I had to take a step back from it and kind of focus on myself, because I was still feeling, somewhat broken, not realizing that I still came so far. I was looking at it a little bit differently. My lens was a little bit blurry because I was focused on what I didn't have instead of what I had.
Right. So, man, cause see, I could tell now, man. You finna hit these people with some stuff. But let's rewind the tape a little bit, man, because even me, I know you, and I'm pretty sure that the listeners, people that's listening to this, don't know our history. We met I believe it was right about maybe was it a year or two or something like that after your accident?
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, it was 2012, maybe 2013, somewhere around there. Yeah, I got hurt in
Right.
2010. So yeah, it was somewhere after that. Yeah. So
Okay. And so, if you could kind of fill in a little bit of the gaps about your childhood and life for you before that. A little bit of that. How was life for you? You got a kid? You got brothers and sisters?
yeah, I got brothers and sisters. Raised by a single mom, back and forth between my mom's house and my dad's house. So I kind of had a different childhood because I had certain set of rules I had to follow at my mom's house and totally different set of rules at my dad's house. So I was just kind of in between floating. So my balance was a little off. My dad and my stepmom have been together most of my life, so I did have a two-parent household, on that end. But then also, going back to my mom, she'd been married 7 times, so I kind of had a little bit different household too. So it kind of shaped me, But so childhood was not the worst, but it also wasn't the best as far as stabilities go. So of course, you look in the magazines, you see fitness people or you see your idols or, whatever the case may be. So you kind of gravitate towards certain things. And just so happened, one day I met this guy, IFBB Pro, Dorian Adams. So, but of course at the time I was, godly, let's see, I was, maybe 20, 21.
Yeah.
I'm 32 now. So yes, we've been rocking for a little minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really didn't get to see too many mass monsters, you know what I'm saying, in person until I got a chance to meet, you. Because I think when I first met you, I think you had just got done competing. You were like 270.
Wow. Wow, you're taking me back now, boy.
Yeah, you were a big boy back then. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you wearing now, but like 270, like sturdy. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, I'm like, okay, like shit, man, what he got going on? Like, obviously, looking at you, I'm like, I need to listen, but also you don't really get the opportunities sometimes to get the chance to meet genuine people, like yourself. So when you do, of course, hey, like I gotta take heed because you're doing something that I want to do, especially at that time. Like at that time, okay, fitness was something I had to, focus on. Of course, I went to school for kinesiology and exercise science, but due to my injury and my accident, I didn't get the chance to finish. That's no excuse, but my own. It was just my own fault. Mentally, I just wasn't ready to handle walking on a campus one year and rolling on the campus the next.
Right. Hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, so of course, like meeting, some heavy hitters like yourself and a few other people, I was able to kind of, get my wits about, back, for myself and find this passion within myself and say, okay, you know what? We've all faced some type of adversity. We just got to implement some things that we have learned back into our own lives, for the benefit of, our journey.
Right. And so, man, how let us because you're talking about being diagnosed paraplegic.
Quad.
See?
Yeah.
Straighten me out. Can you tell us a little bit about that the lead up to that situation and what how that changed things for you, and just tell us a little bit about that experience.
Somehow I wish I'm my worst enemy, I can tell you that. It was just an experience of, being a young kid, 18 at the time, of course. Never really felt like I was invincible, but I did feel like I could conquer the world like we all do at some point in time as a young man. And, God humbled me in that situation. I was in and out of the streets, trying to choose a life that, I felt like was going to be best for me, even though I didn't have to be that way. But we idolize certain things and not really realize the consequences that come with it. You know, so one of those situations, I end up getting in the car with a so-called friend of mine, and, you know, we going out joyriding, and it ended up almost costing me my life, but it cost me a lot more than that because it broke me. Imagine getting in the car, you know what I'm saying? You hanging out with your partners, everybody cool, and they lose control of the car, and you end up, you know, the only one getting hurt. But the backstory to that was when I realized that, hey, it's time for me to get up out the streets. So 3 days prior to my situation, I got a tattoo over my heart that says you have to go through hell to get to heaven. So when I got that tattoo at the time, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm living in this situation. I don't really want to be in this situation no more, but I also got to get up out of this situation. So of course, what am I doing? So I'm calling on God. And this is my way out. You know, and we put me on my back, saying for almost 7 months. I had to look up at him. You know, somebody wiping my nose for me, somebody bathing me, somebody brushing my teeth for me, somebody tying my shoes for me. You know, these are the things that I took for granted at the time. And these are the things that literally I had to wait on someone to do for me. Even the most simplest thing is scratching my nose. You know, so it's one of those experiences, like I say, man, I would netter wish that on anybody because it's something that not everybody can handle. I don't know how I handle it.
Wait. So you, I get you what you're saying, the backstory, you getting a little bit into a little bit of, you know, mischievous behavior,
Yeah,
teenage stuff, but you have this accident. You're in an accident. You wasn't driving. And everybody else walked away. How many other people was in the car?
There's 2 other people in the car.
And they walk away.
Walk away.
And your life's changed forever.
Forever, yeah. Literally, yeah, forever. Every step of the way, life has changed.
So now you're in the hospital. You said you had your nose had to be wiped, your ass had to be wiped.
Yeah, man. You know, I was in a situation where I went into the hospital, you know, feeling sturdy, but in actuality, I ended up having a broken neck. At the time, I didn't know that. I knew I was in pain, but I didn't know that I had a broken neck, and I was pronounced a quadriplegic, you know, for the remainder of my life. So I had to have emergency surgery. My C4 and C5, you know, bones together in my throat. You know, so that was the only way I could live. You know, and so of course what come with paralysis. You know, being a quad, I have no type of movement but my head. So I don't have no use of my arms. So I got nurses taking care of me. You know, I have my mom, my parents, you know, they had to take these classes, learn how to take care of me. You know, because now here I am. I'm there. I'm just a body. I still got my mind, I still got my mouth, but physically I'm immobile.
Wait. So help me understand when you first got the knowledge that this was the situation you was in.
Yeah.
When did that first got that information?
I got that information somewhere between November 19th and we'll say like November 25th, 2010. So somewhere in between that time, I broke my neck November 19th, 2010. So somewhere between that, I spent, you know, some time at Grady on life support. And I got that knowledge. I don't remember the exact date, but I do remember, you know, being diagnosed a quadriplegic after that. So before Thanksgiving, you know, I was told that I never walk again.
Right, and then proceeding from that, you was in the hospital for the next 7 months or whatever.
Yeah, the next 6.5 months. Yeah.
Wow. And so walk us through a little bit of how you took that information. What was your mind like when that happened, when they told you?
I didn't believe it. Of course, you know, you don't ever think, you know, these things are going to happen to you. So I really didn't believe it. But one thing that I did believe was that that was not going to be my situation for forever. You know, so no matter what Dr. Sanjay Gupta said to me, no matter what the therapist said to me, that's not what I believed in my heart. So yeah, my diagnosis on my papers say, okay, I will never walk again. But what I felt, that wasn't what I felt. And literally, through determination, hard work, and you know what I'm saying, God, like, I became a miracle.
Right. Let me interject right there. Because see, you just said something that I think that might have went over a whole bunch of people's head. You said Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Now, I know this guy to be a bigwig in the medical scene.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I always ever knew of him. And he's made a way more of a name for himself since back in those days.
Oh yeah.
But just for you to say that, I just want people to realize and understand just how important of a statement that is because of the caliber of doctor this guy is. And I ain't taking nothing from him or nothing like that, but just to drill down on the caliber of physicians you had in your presence when this happened. That statement come from him could have broke you down. It could have killed your whole energy about getting better. But you didn't let that stop you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, never that. Regardless of who he was on CNN, because that's where he worked at. I don't know if he still works there, but that's what he was doing at the time. You know, he worked for CNN, and he also, you know, had a residency at Grady Hospital in Atlanta. You know, so I didn't know who he was. Everybody else knew, but I didn't know who he was. But even regardless of who he was, not taking anything from him, he did a heck of a surgery on me. You know, I've been riding roller coasters, riding motorcycles, doing everything I wanted to do, you know, that I wasn't supposed to do. Right. You know, so the work that he did obviously has stood up. You know, his work is there, but unfortunately, he was just a man, and it's just called practice.
And he gave you that information that just didn't stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
I remember us talking about this at one point, and you said something about it really being so hard on you, man, that I think you said something about wanting to take yourself out.
Yeah, man. You know, for a lot of years, I be thinking like, man, this would just be so much easier if I wasn't here. Just due to the frustration of having involuntary bowel movements on yourself, or peeing in the bed multiple times a week, or trying to walk and being in pain, or somebody calling the police on you because you parked in handicap, not realizing what you went through. And there were so many different, you know, situations that transpired, you know, that came with that. You know, I worked hard to get back on my feet, literally, you know, and to have to deal with some of those things of taking 22 pills a day, you know, having to get prescribed Viagra at 18 or 19 years old, you know, getting ready to go to college, going to the school to visit 1 year, you know, walking, and that next year you're rolling around the campus. So it's different when you're walking. You know, you can easily, you know, find the restroom. When you're rolling, you remember, hey, okay, the restroom's over there, but you forget, hey, there's a flight of stairs, obstacle, gotta go around. You know, so there were so many different things that happened that from 2010 to 2016, March 14, 2016, where one day I just said, you know what, I'm taking myself out. And that's what I tried to do. And by the grace of God, once again, here I am. You know, I'm still able to survive that. But it taught me something. It really taught me that I was a lot stronger than what I thought I was. Not in a physical sense, but literally in a mental sense. I was so strong that I felt like the only thing that could break me was something stronger than me. Bunch of sleeping pills. And even taking 10 sleeping pills. You're only supposed to take one. Didn't take me out. So after beating that, I had to beat myself, which was, hey, okay, this is no longer a fight. You got to work with it, not against it. So what can you do now to change that, to make these things a little bit easier for you so you won't have these thoughts? One was to seek help so I can learn how to deal with these things, because, of course, I went through a traumatic event, but I never dealt with the traumatic event. I just dealt with it.
Just live with it, huh?
So everybody, we can also, I'm going to deal with that later. But are you really dealing with it, or are you just putting it to the side? You know, so it was one of those situations where I was carrying it every single day in other ways. I never turned to alcohol. I never turned to drugs. But I turned to self-sabotage, thoughts, and feeling inadequate. Man, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do with this situation. You know, how I'm going to feed my baby. You know, if I can't work, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. And finally, I just said, you know what? The only person who has the power to change this whole situation is me. You know, we did a little thing called Move Without the Ball years back.
Come on. Yeah.
So here we are. I got this quote unquote tennis ball in my hand. It ain't a basketball, but I'm bouncing it. I'm dribbling on this court. I got to find my way to the goal. One side to the other. And that's what it was.
So tell them real quick. Tell them about Move Without the Ball, because you know what that is. You tell them a little bit about that.
Move Without the Ball was a movement that you and I, you know, we had discussed. I remember when you brought it to my attention. I don't even remember what year that was, but it was a situation where you wanted to start speaking. You know, and it was about really just about us executing these ideas and these thoughts and all these goals that we had, even when nobody's seen this work. It's like, you know, being in the gym by ourselves with the lights off. Nobody's seeing it, but we're in there working. We can still hear this ball bouncing. We can still hear our shoes squeaking. We can still, you know, handle this movement, but nobody's seeing this work. So what do we have to do? We had to move without the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and move without the ball was something, hey, that was heavy. Like we still moving without the ball right now. We putting in work. Nobody sees it sometimes. But I didn't know that's what it was called back then, because we didn't have a name for it. But that's what we were doing. We both were working on things, working on ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, you know, financially, so we could become better. So now here we are once again, moving without the ball, sitting down years later, working. Continuing to work, continuing to move without the ball, continuing to better ourselves in our situation so we can push ourselves further, so we can still reach what? That goal. May not be today, may not be tomorrow, but we still got to move, you know. And I think Move Without the Ball was something that I think that people don't really realize how important that is sometimes. It's just really about executing, whether it's the small idea, the big idea, the medium idea, but just executing, just continuing to move and get these, you know, situations situated so you can become better. So you can get that championship.
Right. Across the finish line.
Yeah, man.
And that's, you know, that's powerful. You said that. You brought that back to my attention, because I know we had known each other for a minute before we did that event, that Move Without the Ball event. But to think that the pain you probably was dealing with and, you know, trying to make sure your footing was proper was still a lot more fresh then, but you took it upon yourself to show up at an event that was designed to impact and bring motivation to the youth and just people in the community. You know what I mean? I remember you was a little bit nervous about it too, you know, but you got up there, you ran it.
Yeah. I was nervous. You know, I don't know why. I don't even know why I was nervous, but I'd been putting that work. So it was easy. Came easy.
Yeah. But that's for me. I'm looking at the thought of that coming out of your adversity. You know what I mean? You didn't let, and then here's the deal. They probably don't know this, but when you talk about the fitness, they don't know. Me and you have live videos that we done shot together in the gym, and you ain't
Yeah,
missing a beat. You doing anything and everything. Now I'm moving, you moving something too.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And so that they don't know. For me, that was my connection to you was that heart.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And we've been rocking ever since. And so it just I'm a little bit familiar with, intimately familiar with some of the stuff that you went through, but just seeing your growth and not being willing to lay down, it's another thing hearing it from you out your mouth. Some of the stuff that you had to deal with. Um, is that I know you practice Islam. Is that something that's newer, or has that been around for you the whole time?
Um, that wasn't around up until about 5 years ago. Um, 2019, I decided to take a full dive into Islam, just to become better, challenge myself a little bit more. I wasn't unhappy being a Christian at the time. I just didn't really have something that really kind of spoke to me, and it was one of those situations where I said, you know what, I'm always going to be different, but I'm not being different in a rebellious way. Sometimes God creates us differently. Somebody got to be that underdog. Somebody has to be the unorthodox person, or else we wouldn't have certain things. Somebody, created the microphone that you're using right now. But, so it was a situation where I said, you know what, I'm going to read more into this and see if this fits what I have been, wanting to do or challenge myself with. And it's crazy because physically not having 100% mobility and getting down on your hands and your knees and prostrating was a challenge to me. I could get down, but it was actually a challenge getting back up due to physical situations. And but I felt good once I kept doing it. I started learning how to pray. It challenged me to become better. And I did not know at the time that actually prostrating, which is, getting down on your hands and your knees and getting into a certain position, was actually a form of stretching. So not only am I stretching my body, now I'm also stretching my soul. I'm also heightening my senses in other areas. So it was a thing that, it made me feel good. There was nothing wrong with me being a Christian. My grandfather, he was a pastor majority of his life. I have a bunch of pastors in my family. So, but there was nothing more fulfilling than getting down on my hands and my knees and being able to get back up. Because at one point in time, I couldn't do that. I could have did it as a Christian, but as a Christian, that's not required. And it was a beautiful thing. So May of 2019, so when I decided, I'm going to challenge myself. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm not the perfect Muslim. I am a striving Muslim, but I like the challenge. I like challenging myself to become better and doing something that's more fulfilling as a man, but also being vulnerable. Because it's hard to talk about religion. Like any, whether what religion it is, but to be emotionally sound and challenging yourself as a man when it comes to religion and being open about it, a tough battle.
Yeah, it's a lot of,
Hmm.
it's a lot of different angles and arrows and everything else in that
Yeah.
mix. Uh, yeah, you got to find that for yourself, man. That's where we get caught up. A lot of time we be so busy comparing and contrasting with what the next person think, you know, that we doing. It's a crazy balancing act going on that don't really need to exist,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Like it's
Yeah.
what feeds your spirit, what feeds you. It's like for me, it was more of a situation where I'll give you the prime example. That pump, my spirit was deflated, so I had to pump some knowledge into it. I had to pump something that was going to be more fulfilling. So, I could be my best self. And I'm still learning that. And I like this journey that I'm on. Of course, we're all striving to become better. I mean, it is a challenge, but just to know that, what, this is something that I finally feel is for me.
Mhm.
How it's feeding me, in another way. It ain't no real food. I'm carving up on the Quran. I'm literally
Right.
I'm fueling up, like I was feeling deflated, but it was a beautiful thing, man. Nobody understood it. My father, he didn't really understand it. Of course, my grandfather, before he passed, he didn't understand it. There's a lot of things about that nobody understood, but I realized nobody also understood I wasn't gonna walk again either. But here I am, 14 years later, standing on my own 2 feet. Grateful for the people who have been supportive of me, but I had to choose my own path, and that's one of the situations where times you got to walk alone. I don't
Yeah.
know where I'm going right now, but I'm walking alone for me.
So have you ever kind of had a why me moment, you know?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I have a bunch of why me moments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot. I've had a lot of those over the years. Um, but I never really looked at it in a bad way. I feel like you're supposed to question. For me personally, I feel like you're supposed to question, um, what you are at that moment because you're continuously evolving.
What do you think people are missing with creating that relationship with God? Do you think people need to experience what you went through to gain the wisdom you did?
Sure hope not.
That's a good question.
I feel like people are missing, believe it or not, when it comes to relationship with God, is courage of just, being, being vulnerable and having the courage to say that, hey, I'm weak in this situation and I want to become stronger in it. But I'm also afraid of being, passed judgment upon because we've all, experienced things, and you could get to a point in your relationship with God that you could be a whole new person in a beautiful way. But
Mm.
do you have the courage to stand on that? I can say, hey, I'm an engineer, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor. You got to stand on that. But can you say, hey, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim? I study Hinduism, Buddhism, like all these things. Do you have the courage to really say, like, hey, I'm broken in this situation, but I'm working on it? A lot of
Right.
people are missing that, though. A lot of people are afraid to admit that. Religion is a very tricky subject. And it's okay, though. But it's not okay to not be honest about your relationship because it's a relationship that you need. It's not for anybody else. I can't tell you how much God you need. I can't tell you how much, of this you need. You're missing that. Like, so obviously you feel some type of way, but you got to change that. So you got to have the courage to say, you know what? I got to stand up to myself and be open and honest. Okay, I'm lacking this. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey. and that's fire what you just said, man, because a big part of the religious piece
Hmm.
is identifying the need
Yeah, it's a
for
big need.
what people say is God. You know what I mean? Because you got to identify the truth in the statement that he can help you or he can fix it. You have to believe in that first of all. Then you turn it around and you're gonna pick one, even though it's the same one.
Yeah,
You go. Some people gonna call him Allah. Some people gonna call him Jesus. Some people gonna call him something else. You gotta be confident
higher.
in the
Yeah,
choice you're
Yahweh.
making,
I guess,
right?
but it's the courage
So,
to stand out.
right, right. You know,
Yeah,
and the thing about what I feel like is that a lot of times we are so caught up in what other people think as our measuring stick,
yeah,
right? I'm not fly unless you tell me I'm looking fly. I
yeah.
done put these clothes on. I went to the mall and bought all this stuff,
Broke now. Got the Balenci's trying to show out.
right? And so that's the part right there, man, where a lot about Closure TV deals with that part that says, guess what? I can be as broken as all get out just because of the way I respond to other people responding to me. You
Yeah,
always told me I was not good enough. You always told me I was ugly. You always said I got a big ass nose. You know what I mean? Like, so all of this stuff is harmful and malicious, and we carry that with us. So when
facts.
you can take a leap of faith and be strong, as you just mentioned, and have that courage, you're displaying a bravery that people aren't very familiar with, right? But you have to ultimately you gain a measure of closure because of how life treats you when you make those steps, and you give other people the chance to see it happen so that maybe they can catch that wave too.
Yeah,
You know, it's rough.
yeah, man.
You know,
Don't
so
nobody want to be
you're a hell
different.
of an example.
Don't nobody want to be different no more, D. Don't nobody want to be different. Everybody want to be the same. Can't be the
They
same. God, your credit's the same.
they want to be different, but they want to do the same thing and say they doing being
I'm saying
different.
you can't. Yeah, if you go outside right now, you know what I'm saying? Bunch of people look the same, doing the same thing, but I really feel like it just boils down to people forgetting that your name is your name for a reason. It's called individuality. You might have somebody with the name Schuyler. You might have somebody with the name Dorian, but that doesn't make them you. Your
Right.
courage, your grit, willpower, all these things are different. That's what shapes you. There's some Dorians right now that ain't your age, don't look half as good as you physically. But you had to, have the courage to say, I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna be a different Dorian. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that, man, people forget that you could be your worst enemy or you could be your best friend.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hmm, all that being said, bro, what's next for you? What's in the cards?
I don't know yet. I have some plans. I'm working on some things. Um, but I can't really tell you where I'm going yet because I really don't know. I feel like the reason why I haven't reached some of these goals is because I haven't fulfilled certain certain goals for myself. And one of those things is, hey, okay, I've been looking for a space for a gym, but I haven't physically went out there and touched any places. Not recently. Because I'm in my mind, I'm like, okay, I ain't got the finances yet, but I'm looking at it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I said I should just be like, just say, you know what, I might not have the finances yet, but it's gonna come. So I do have some things in the work, but I gotta I got a situation that I'm trying to get situated. So I think that once that gets situated in the best way possible, I think I'll be able to move a little bit more without the ball, because I have this big uncertainty. And even though it's something I cannot control, but it has been weighing on me heavy for the last 2 years, and it's draining my spirit, but it's also challenging me to become a little bit more fulfilling for myself and stop giving my energy and my time and my effort to these people, because right now I'm in this very fragile predicament.
Right. And I can hear it. I can hear the weight of it in your voice. Tell the people a little bit about that, because they ain't gonna let you rest.
Well, currently, I have 2 pending murder charges here in the state of Georgia, due to a situation back in 2021. So it's cost me to lose my job. You know what I'm saying? Cost me to lose, a lot of revenue due to the fact that I can't work for myself right now, because I was starting a armed security company, so I'm not able to carry a gun. So it's a situation, where my hands are tied, but my mind is tired. That's a situation, man, that I really wish nobody, really have to ever go through. But we have to choose, unfortunately, sometimes between making the right decision and making the right decision. We don't glorify violence, of course, but the situations do arise sometimes as men, and we have to defend ourselves. And it's just one of those situations where I had to defend myself. And by the grace of God, I am sitting here, today. I didn't go to the morgue that day, but I did die because a piece of me left. Because I had to go through this situation. I had to call my daughter and tell her I may not ever see her again.
Whoa.
Because as an African-American male, you get caught up in this system. It's hard to get out. And here I am for the last 12 years being a motivational speaker, going to these juvenile centers and talking to these kids and posting videos and doing this and doing events. And now here I am telling these kids, hey man, at one point in time, I was a little kid in the streets. Now I feel like I'm back in the streets, because I was in a situation where I was in the streets, not, in a bad sense, but I was at a place where I shouldn't have been, and a situation transpired. And now here I am telling these same kids, y'all got to stay out of trouble, and I'm in trouble. So a piece of me, you know what I'm saying? A piece of me left, when that situation happened, because I spent 7 months in jail just waiting to come home. And I didn't think I was ever going to come home. But by the grace of God, like, they looked at like, hey, you know what? This man ain't got no record.
No record.
Like, he made it from where? Like, he made it, from this situation. Like, oh, he been arrested, but he ain't got no convictions. Okay, we're going to give him a chance.
But see, let me drop this right quick. Not to interrupt you, bro, but just to really give people a sense of who, if they don't know you, haven't been exposed to you in any type of way or nothing like that, man, you be on social media posting motivational content regularly, regularly letting off shots. And it wasn't until a few months ago when we reconnected, I still didn't know what was going on your current situation. All I was talking about was all the videos I've been seeing you doing and how you still carrying the torch of what we established years ago. Yeah. That's all I knew. And there's never been inconsistency in how you bring what you bring to the table. So a person wouldn't know you was going through that.
Yeah, I'm fighting the hardest battle of my life. This is way harder than paralysis. I take that any day.
You see what I'm saying? And so I believe for me that speaks to your the integrity of your character too, man. You know, that speaks volumes. Um, man, I pray the best for you. On for that on the turnout of that situation.
Yeah, it's gonna
Um,
turn.
where man, where can people find you? Can they follow you? Social media.
Um, my Instagram is Sky the Great, SKYDAGREAT. And on Facebook, it's Schuyler Jenkins. That's SCHUYLERJENKINS. So you can find me on all platforms, just by my name because I have a unique name. So it's kind of my stamp.
Okay, okay. Um, can you give us a parting shot, man? Give us something to rock with into our next coming future.
Parting shot would be no matter how big the obstacle, you can still overcome it. We all have these obstacles in our lives, whether that's relationships, financial obstacles, physical obstacles, but in some way, shape, or form, you can still overcome that. May not be the results that you want, but it's still some way that you can overcome that.
Solid, man. Solid.
Yeah.
I definitely want to thank you for your time on the call. Want to pray nothing but peace and blessings over you, brother. You know what I mean? I know you have an impact on the people's lives that whose lives you're in, the youth. You know, just continue to fight that good fight, bro. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man, most
It's
definitely.
in you. Yeah, you sent here for a reason.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
other than that, yeah, we gonna wrap it. And just want to appreciate you once again, man.
Man, I appreciate
We
you, bro.
out, man. Closure TV.
Okay, did you hear where the brother was coming from? See, this is what I'm talking about when I say Closure TV. I mean, we have an abundance of stuff that's going on, abundance of stuff and experiences that we deal with that we need to share that other people probably gonna get something out of when you bring that to the table. This brother, man, he had a lot to bring to the table, and I really appreciate him for bringing that. Um, I'm totally like stoked because of what I just was shared with me, and I know you guys got a lot out of that too. So all I can say is stay tuned. Look forward to more content, more riveting, uh, moving people that we're going to bring to the podcast. One thing I have for you, if you wouldn't mind, is to connect energies with me on in the comments. We will actually be providing different community resources as we go along in the process of bringing Closure TV to the community. A lot of stuff that we can drill down on as far as resources. You talking about people that's incarcerated, they getting fresh out. We're looking at different aspects of the mental health. You'll see us providing a lot of that content. But what I want to do is just make sure if you have some stuff that you can bring, resources and stuff like that we can that can be useful, go ahead and let us know about it. We may be missing some stuff. We're growing. We're definitely going to keep providing content and making sure people have access to those tools and resources as we can come across them. So once again, I'm Dorian. Thank you for being a part of this process. Tap that subscribe, that like button if you feel so inclined, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. A wise man once told me two things that I never forget. Number one, you gon' live forever. Number two, if you gon' say something,